Welcome to the folks who have just joined. So my name is Gesing. I presently have the privilege of having the title of CEO of eXp Realty, but I've pretty much been doing the same thing from the moment I got here in 2010. When we had about 30 agents, I was the first person to invest, and back then we invested in opening a market. I'm in Massachusetts, so opened a couple of immediately got to work trying to figure out how I could connect with people who were much more credible and respected in the business than I was, and they were everywhere. It was just how can I get them to listen? And along the way, we've had some great successes. I held this role previously. I think I want to say up until about August of 2018. I was in it for 2 years, and then held the president role for 2 years before that. And I've also been on the business development side, both for World Holdings and for Realty, and just love the company, love the business, and I know it, and I feel fortunate beyond belief that I ran into Glenn and that he's supported me in the way that he has and taught me as much as he has.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jason. And one of the things we talked about earlier, I mean, eXp, I truly believe this, and I know you are too humble to say this, but it's not where it is today, because it wouldn't be where it is today, rather, if it weren't for you and everything that you've done for the company. Hey, Paige, I'm going to ask you to kind of keep some. Sorry, I'm trying to get the background noise. So we have a list of questions here, and I know that you're on the board and everything, so answer what you can. But one of the questions actually starts with the stock. Two-part question. So what do you attribute kind of the stock increase? And then where do you see, trying to phrase this in the best way. So as eXp grows and we have more and more icons and things, is there enough availability to stock to be able to be sustainable in kind of the plans, the stock plan that we have currently?
Yeah, great question. So I think on the first part, I would say that it's really just awareness. And, I think for a long time we were frustrated because we would look at like Redfin and their valuation and the fact that they hadn't made any money. And, we look at ourselves and say, well, gee, we just, had a profitable quarter. So I really think it's awareness. I think some additional awareness was brought to the company when COVID arrived. And I can remember the Sunday afternoon when we knew this thing was coming and it was going to change things. And Glenn and I immediately, we spent the whole day interviewing PR people, trying to get the word out there about Virbela. And so, we had some hits there. He was on CNBC, he was on Fox Business. He was in a couple of print publications. I don't remember all of them, but I think that brought awareness to Virbela. And of course,
I lost your audio all of a second. All of a sudden, yeah, it's cutting out a little bit, but that's the first. You were good, and then all of a sudden it cut out.
Yeah, so I switched computers, and the same thing happened to me earlier today for the first time, that I had issues with my other one, like I did here, and then I missed one, but there's no video, so I don't know what's happening. But it's probably a better conversation for everybody there if there's no video anyway. So let me continue, because I want to respect everybody's time, and I know you. So I think awareness is really the key part in terms of why stock is done what. I mean, the fundamentals and financials are what they are. You can't really move those. I mean, the results speak for themselves. And I think there's just been a great deal of awareness. Of course, it doesn't hurt that we got 40,000 people around the globe that are talking about how the stock can be life-changing and how this is their company and that they want to do it into the best company they can be. It can be. On the second part, what was the second part again? Sorry.
So just
whether it's sustainable.
Growth.
Yeah.
Can it be sustainable?
Yeah. Yeah, well, so a couple of things, and you remember, Mike, of the days when we would issue whole share numbers for an achievement like closing your first transaction. You used to get X number of shares, or if you capped, you get 1,000 shares. One of the things that we did a few years ago was move to dollar amounts, and so the dollar amounts, I think, do protect our agents against dilution as the stock continues to do what it's going to do. But the other part is that we are engaged in a buyback, so we've approved we've been buying back stock at the same time that we've been issuing stocks to really sort of offset any dilution. So is it sustainable? Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. And it's kind of the same question in reference to revenue share and the compensation plan the way it's structured today. As eXp grows, do you foresee any adjustments?
I think at the end of the day, what we're doing with revenue share is working. The percentage that ordinarily would go to a regional owner or a franchisor, and we're giving it, we're able to cut out middle management, we're able to cut out redundancies that typically would back cash, and pay it to our agents. So that's where it comes from. And we're able to do that because of the way we operate. So to me, I've never quite understood why people have suggested that, it's not a sustainable model. I think one of the things that I'm really excited about is the affiliated services piece of things. And admittedly, we've not really driven results in that area yet. Part of it is because there's staggered licensing for things like mortgage in the various states, and trying to build out marketing pieces that at least explain what the opportunities are. But we've been spending a lot of time on that in 2021 already, and I'm really optimistic about it. And one of the things I could see certainly is that as that starts to take off, because we're providing good service to consumers and our agents recognize that, and that we could supplement potentially bonus, if you will, revenue share through some of the profits that result from affiliated services. I could see that happening.
And Jason, that was actually one of the questions that we have here is, we're kind of bringing a little more clarity on what some of those opportunities may be with those other services. So is there any kind of timeline as far as, what do you see as the overall vision with mortgage and title and all that? And how can the agents right now, everybody in this room, really be, taking advantage of that full opportunity?
Yeah, well, I think, there's the opportunity, but then there's the obligation on our part to make sure that the partners that we have are the right partner. We're providing the service that our agents can do. And until we do that, we can shout it from the rooftops, but we've got to make sure that we've got the right pieces in place. So Intraland First Cloud is the mortgage piece that we've been working on now for the better part of a year and a half. I don't have an exact number of states that they're in today, but it's a growing number. And we liked the program because it allows agents to use the same loan officer that they've always used, right? They don't have a relationship. And so to your question on the vision, everything we do always starts with the question, how is this? If it doesn't benefit the agent, then we don't want to do it. So when we looked at Intraland, and just for those who don't know, Intraland is a company, Intraland First Cloud LLC, which is owned 50% by eXp and 50% by eXp agents. And so agents, can elect to invest, although we've suspended investment at the moment. But they take their favorite LO, they put them into the program, the back end. Intraland takes a loan application, then distributes it out through its tech platform to the 3 LOs that the agent identified as people that they know, like, and trust. The bids back, and then 32 basis points come to the chapter of Intraland First Cloud LLC, and so those LLC member owners then can receive dividends as the venture becomes profitable. So we really like. We're solving for the problem of agents who have good relationships, and we don't want to take them out of those good relationships, right? As we move forward, but dividends are all dependent upon people actually use, and I think on the Intraland side, we get through some service issues and make sure that we can meet the demands. 42,000 agents or whatever the number is now. You got to make sure that you're staffed adequately to have the right number of LOs. At the same time, I could see us entering into other relationships with other lenders, because our agents tell them this is a great and they'll serve our consumers well and serve our agents well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we started to more regional or state-based opportunities in mortgage and title. And I would say to everybody there in the group, if you got somebody who's a real rock star that you would like go to bat for 8 days a week, let us know, and we'd love to talk to them. So that's that piece. Title, I'm still trying to figure out title. We got a joint venture title with a national company in most states. There are a few states out on the West Coast that they're not in. Title, though, it seems is really such a local, a local relationship. So we're still trying to figure out how best to do that. But Silverline is, and the partners at Brightline in the joint venture are fantastic. They'll be fantastic, and they're committed to the service. And then we've got a bunch of other things. We've got a home warranty line. We're going to be coming out in just a few weeks with a little bit more on all of this. And I think one of the things we never really, and again, it was because of the staggered licensing, we never really unveiled it in a way that, agents could understand and it's going to get people excited. And that was really kind of deliberate a little bit, because, 5 states today, why tell the whole company, right? Why do the big? That's coming. But I guess if I could say anything to folks, it's your company, and to the extent that we succeed affiliated service through your adopt, or because you've introduced us to a good partner, or both, then our company together becomes that much stronger. So if you've got relationships, you want us to have a conversation, please just send me a face chat, and feel free to copy great. So, of course, global now, Micah, we're in, I guess, 9 countries now. So that adds an additional mention for affiliated services and things that we're starting to think about.
That's awesome. No, we're excited. You guys are, I think Michael Valdez is next. So we're really excited to see what he's got to say on that. So kind of piggybacking a little bit on that, on the opportunity, commercial just rolling out officially. How do you kind of envision commercial, eXp commercial working for, seasoned agents maybe that have been in the business a while and that's all they do is commercial?
Yeah, well, we just got off, we did the first eXp Explained presentation today, actually this morning. Got to get the word out a little bit more, but 80 people there. We are attracting people into the commercial division who are have really helped shape and found companies like Global, Grubb and Ellis back in the day. I mean, really, really credible people. So we're excited about that. Our leadership team and Stephanie Gill is on, who Micah, just doing a great job. But, I remember back when I joined eXp in 2010, and Glenn would just say over and over again, perfect storm, right? It's the perfect storm, with fixed and rising overhead costs, and, lending was almost impossible. Deals weren't getting done. There was no one coming in, but you had these fixed costs of offices and staffing. And, fast forward 11 years, and here we are again with commercial. And I really do believe that, people are mass exodus out of the cities, right? So what happens to all of these office towers that are vacated? What's happening to hotels that aren't being stayed in? Retail's getting hit hard, and I don't see that changing really, with online shopping. And at the same time, remote work, people are realizing now, I think for the first time, that, despite whatever initial discomfort might have existed, if any, remote work can work, and it can work perpetually, and it can work long after the pandemic goes away. So I really think that for commercial, the whole industry is about to undergo a pretty big change. And, people are going to actually have to reimagine or repurpose buildings. One part of our commercial operation is a consulting group that right now I can tell you they're working on like a hotel city. So these are the types of projects. I think we always wanted to go into commercial. If we were going to do it, we wanted to make sure that we weren't limited the types of commercial deals that we could do, right? So if there's capital C commercial, office towers, skyscrapers, we want to be in that game in addition to the strip mall or the convenience store. And I think we're well set up for that. But, the challenges that commercial is facing, continue to face, are going to require, some good thinking and good ideas. And as a global company now with a platform and a place where people can collaborate, I think we're really well positioned to come up with those ideas as opposed to doing it on a local level and worrying about your competitor all the time. So I think it's good success on the economic side alone, right? I mean, people think 80-20 is a good deal residential. I mean, try it in commercial. I mean, these guys, JLL and things, I mean, they're, you're lucky if you get 40% sometimes starting out in a commercial firm. So there's a real differentiator, even more so than in residential. Twice now, once in December, and then just 2 weeks ago, we had a week-long session in our auditorium. I think we had 2,500 people register for the second one, 1,700 registered for the first. Really well attended. We were off a certification through Michael Simpson, and CCIM leaders were in. We had a lot of these, commercial specific groups. Leadership came in, and I think, really eye-opening for them. I mean, on the education side, if you wanted to get education in commercial, you had to go to CCIM, right? You had to figure out where that was. You had to pay for it. And I think, probably going to be pretty disruptive in the space. I mean, we certified, I think, close to 600 people 2 weeks ago in commercial, and the content is unbelievable. I mean, it's everything from Delaware statutory trust to cap rates to what does triple net mean. I mean, it was really
Jason,
phenomenal.
if you can hear us, I think we just lost your audio again.
Hey, Michael, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. We're going to improvise if that's all right.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening. Are you in a hotel?
No, we're in a private home, but we all tried to turn off our Wi-Fi to see if that might help. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe on my end. I apologize to everybody. This is the first day that I've run into any issues at all. So.
No, it's okay. That's, as we all know, technology and Wi-Fi is great
until it isn't.
Right.
You're spot on in terms you took away from my commercial is going to be a huge opportunity for us. And importantly, our agents should know that they can recruit or attract commercial agents as part of their revenue share group, even if they're not in the commercial company. We're configuring enterprise now so that can work. So it might be a little while, and a couple of months or something until we've got that built out. But the opportunity is there.
That's awesome. And so kind of piggybacking off of that even further, you talked about some of the other services, commercial. What does eXp look like, from a vision standpoint in the next 5 years?
I think in 5 years, the primary story is, make sure I muted my,
in case it comes back. The primary story, I think, really, especially now with global, is that you're going to have all these different languages. I just had a couple of interviews, one yesterday, one the day before, and I got one tomorrow with candidates for the Italian broker. Caliber of people is unbelievable. Like, there's people that are coming forward that what they've done in the industry. So I think in 5 years, the story is as much about the community we've built as it is about real estate. And I think that's what excites me the most. But we ought to be at that point. We ought to be 100,000 agents or more of that. We've got some stretch goals even relative to this year and how far we can get. But I think as long as we continue to focus on agent ownerships, every initiative. The first question in evaluating that initiative, the first question in evaluating any opportunity is, what is this going to do for the agent, both in their capacity as business builders, as servers to consumers, but also as shareholders. And if we keep focusing on that, I think we're going to be good, and we'll have a really robust ecosystem within eXp World where people, our agents, are members of the ecosystem that will have needs, and they'll tell us what they are, and we'll do our best to meet those needs. I think agent healthcare is a great example of that. Micah, the folks at Clearwater and the program we've set up, there was an Inman story a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was last week on this. And if you look at everybody else, we're really changing the game when it comes to agent healthcare with traditional insurance plans like Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and the service is outstanding. And importantly, if an agent doesn't have, if an agent after the analysis is in a plan that's better than what we can offer them, then we're going to tell them, stick with what you got. But on average, people are saving $8,000 a year in healthcare costs, and insurance costs, and deductibles and premiums as a result of our program. That's money they can reinvest back into the business. And there's some great stories on eXp Life. Joe Sonona out of New York. Who else? The other name will come to me, but it's just tremendous. And especially now where people are unemployed, it could be that our agents have long depended on the health insurance that's provided by the employer of their spouse. And with unemployment, we're going to see increased pressure in that way. So really excited about eXp Healthcare, but that's the kind of thing where as we identify a need for our agents, we're going to look to meet it. We're going to look to meet it in a way that provides, cost advantageous, outstanding service and value.
Awesome. And we got you set up on a speaker now. So everybody, if you heard us kind of shuffling, we were connecting you to the speaker. Okay. So, we're talking about the future now, but, Jason, you've been with eXp for a long time. What originally attracted you? I know I was agent number 333, so I'd imagine you were like less than 100. What originally attracted you, and are we on track to what the original vision was?
Hold on. I'm going to leave the Zoom, Micah, because I'm getting feedback.
No problem.
What attracted me, honestly, I had my own independent brokerage back in the early 2000s. I've been licensed as a managing broker in a few different states since 2002. I signed up, joined here as the broker in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, also did some sales. The independent brokerage that I had, we got up to about 16 or 17 agents. We probably weren't going to get any bigger. And frankly, it was a side gig because I also had a law practice I was working for a law firm. I didn't have a practice. I knew just enough to be dangerous in just about every aspect of the law, every area, but I knew not enough about any of it to really be an expert. So, what I noticed about it was that I was spending all my time driving in and out of downtown Boston every day. And if your folks have ever been here in Orlando, I don't know why you come here at this time of year, but the traffic, you're looking at an hour and a half each way. And I had, at the time, my two boys were 2 and just born. And that meant that, whether I left at 4 o'clock or left at 7 o'clock, I was going to get home around 8. They were already asleep.
And, I never met my dad, and I didn't want to be the absentee father. So that was a big motivator. And plus, I didn't like the law because, but I saw in the practice, clients were paying more per hour because we had these big lavish offices. Yeah, associates had to stay longer hours and couldn't see their families. And we would go home at like 3 a.m. to come back at 6 the next day. Because we had these offices and you had to feed the beast. And so when I met Glenn, it was really just fortuitous. I had a business partner at the time that did a webinar on a program called The Real Estate Tomato with Jim Cronin. And Glenn preceded him with a presentation about eXp. This was back in late 2009. And so the next thing I know, I found out about it, and I'm in the initial version of eXp World, which is nothing like the one today. And I'm talking to Glenn. So you asked the question, did I see the economic opportunity? Absolutely. Was I drawn by rev share? Absolutely. Was there any plan to go public or have a stock? None whatsoever. I invested in a private company. I got LLC membership units. Everybody who opened a state back then had to invest. But what really drew me to the company was Glenn himself. And, he's brilliant, right? Really, really smart guy. And like Brian always likes to say, he's playing chess while the rest of us are playing checkers. And
I love
he
that.
really, but what I loved was just how down to earth and modest and approachable he was. And he remains that way today. He'll mentor anybody that's looking for some guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that about him. And so really it was Glenn.
And Jason, do you feel, based on the original conversations you had with Glenn, are we on track to what that vision is? Is there anything that maybe we're doing a bit differently now?
Well, I think, he lost as much out of economic necessity as anything else, right? Because he was caught up in that same issue that I spoke about relative to commercial, where you get the down market and fixed costs and diminished revenues. So he had to change in order to survive. We're way ahead of where we thought we would be. In fact, we had a conversation with Stefan Swanepoel back in 2013, right as we were going through the reverse merger. And I can remember, we were saying, we're going to get to 10,000 agents by 2020. And he, Stefan, who's respected as one of the leading visionaries and authorities in the space. He did all he could to not laugh us out of the room. He said, how many brokerages, don't ever get to 1,000, right? And it left an impression. And but the next thing 2020 comes and we're north of 30,000, in no time. So. And that's just a testament to our agents. So I think things shifted back in 2013 when we decided to do the reverse merger and this whole concept of agent ownership took root. I can remember the first Friday leadership meeting after we decided, we started talking about owning your business, owning your brand, owning your life, but owning your brokerage. And I could tell stories about people who instantly, people didn't want to be reimbursed for small expenses because it was their company. That's what they would say. And when that happens, you're onto something. And I think that's the spirit that's really pervaded ever since. Are we perfect? No. Does somebody sometimes, wait a day longer than they should for their payment? Absolutely. Is the onboarding experience always where we want it to be? No, it isn't. And, we're constantly going through this continual improvement process. And that's why we use NPS and measure that experience. But the thing about agent ownership is that everybody in the company wants the same thing, right? So everybody's working towards solutions to these things rather than looking for the next place to hang their license. And I think that's a big, big difference. But yeah, we're well ahead of where we thought we would be.
I love that. And really kind of the last question here, because I know we're coming up at the top of the hour. Who is do you consider our major competitor at this point?
I think it's still the traditional players, to be honest. I look at, Keller and Remax. They've still got great agents. All of the traditional brands, the legacy brands have great agents. And they're going to continue to do everything they can to try and explain to people that you do need an offer so that, the hot air balloon on the sign matters. And of course they're going to try and say that because that's their business. Oh, excuse me one second, my guy. Hey, Margot, I'll be right with you. I'm just finishing up with a group of agents in Orlando. I'll be right in. Okay, but make yourself comfortable. Go ahead, hang up. Go ahead, Doug. Hey, that's our healthcare folks right there.
There you
go. Competitors, yeah, I still think it's the traditional players. Have we seen, a couple of folks that have tried to mirror what we're doing, or in some cases just, replicate it? Yeah, but there is something intangible about eXp And it starts with Glenn. It's this willingness to try things that are different, right? I mean, we do well as a company because we don't do what other companies do, right? So it may look appealing. It may look easy to say, okay, we'll give an 80-20 split. We'll have no office, and we'll knock this fee down by $25 or that fee down. But and we're seeing it now. I've got some folks coming back once they see what color the grass really is. But there is something really intangible about how we think about doing this and how we approach the business and the way Glenn thinks, and he's always moving. If people are running in one direction, Glenn immediately pivots and goes in the opposite direction. And so I like our chances, going forward. And right now, I don't see any real competitive threat.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jason. I know you have another meeting and you're really busy. So we, just on behalf of everyone here, we really appreciate you and we miss you. So I can't wait till we have an in-life person event soon. Me too. And I apologize again to everybody for the audio and video issues. You're in for a real treat with Michael coming up. So enjoy that. And lastly, stop by anytime. The office is always open, and love to talk with anybody. And if you got great ideas for partners, reach out, let us know. And thank you again for letting me take up part of the day. Thank you, Jason. Take care. See you. Bye-bye.